Hello, thanks for joining us on your channel of choice at this time, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Welcome to Focus Nigeria, your program that puts the searchlight on topical issues in the politics. My name is Benga Aruleba. The National Assembly came fully alive on Wednesday after members resumed for the week's plenary. On Tuesday, both chambers had adjourned plenary to honor a member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abdullahi Wamako, from Sokoto State, who died last week following a prolonged illness. But on Wednesday, the Senate Committee on INEC presented its report to the report of its screening of the remaining 12 resident electoral commissioners nominee. And thank God, all 12 nominees were given a clean bill of health.
That the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the screening of 12 nominees for appointment as resident electoral commissioners to be laid. I so move.
Hopefully, the report will be formally adopted today, and again, hopefully, all 12 nominees will be confirmed. And of course, that will probably give us the opportunity of asking questions about the resident electoral commissioner, the nominee from Kano, who's from Kaduna State, who had earlier been screened and confirmed by the Senate, and his name was forwarded to the Senate, to the president, acting president, for swearing in, but somehow his name was missing from the list of 14, or to be 15, that was passed by the Senate earlier on. Perhaps today's opportunity will allow us, that chance again to raise the question of what happened to that nominee's name. All right, also on Wednesday, that was yesterday, the anti-corruption war got a boost when the Senate passed a bill for an act to protect persons making disclosures for the public interest and others from reprisals. The bill, otherwise known as the Whistleblowers Bill. The private members' bill was presented to the Senate in March 2016 by Senator Abiodun Olujimi, the senator representing Ekiti South Senatorial District.
From the preponderance of views canvassed by stakeholders and the members of the general public, and our subsequent analysis of the provisions in our markup sessions on the bill, we hereby make the following observations and findings. 1. That the stakeholders unanimously supported the passage of the bill, as it will give more impetus to the fight against corruption and reinforce government's policy on whistleblowing. 2. That in order to have a comprehensive legislation to sufficiently address related issues on whistleblowing in line with global best practices, the committee made further consultations to enrich the bill. 3. That the passage of the bill will guarantee adequate protection for potential whistleblowers against reprisals, victimizations, job losses, etc. 4. That the provision that contemplates monetary reward for whistleblowers whose information lead to discovery of looted funds, proceeds of crime, or improper conduct is a laudable and innovative provision of this bill. The provision will further strengthen the policy currently being adopted by the federal government, which is already yielding positive results. And 5, that this proposed legislation has been enforced in other climes, and it has helped in the fight against corruption and improper conduct by public officers, individuals, and corporations. Recommendation. Flowing from the presentations made during the public hearing and the foregoing observations and findings, the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, to which the Whistleblower Protection Bill 2017 was referred, having favorably considered same, recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the Whistleblowers Protection Bill 2017 as amended. I so move.
A bill for an act to provide for the manner in which individuals may, in the public interest, disclose information that relate to the unlawful or other illegal conduct or corrupt practices of others, to provide for the protection against victimization of persons who make these disclosures, and to reward individuals who make disclosures and for related matters 2017 is read a third time and passed.
All right, the whistleblowers bill read for the third time and passed in the Senate yesterday. Hopefully, Senator Abiodun Olujimi, the brain behind that bill, should be joining us tomorrow to x-ray this all-important bill, and when it becomes law, eventually what this will bring to the anti-corruption efforts. That's a projection for tomorrow. And talking about corruption, the newspapers are awash this morning with reports about how the law is catching up with former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Dizaani Alice Madueke. She has already forfeited some assets to the federal government. But details of what took place under Mrs. Alice Madueke's watch will shock you to your marrow. And it was under a government headed by an elected president. It's nothing short of an organized crime, really. Organized looting of our common patrimony. I will have time to chronicle some of these issues tomorrow. Yesterday was also Federal Executive Council meeting. Nothing much to report from that. The judiciary is already on vacation. Only few judges are sitting as vacation judges to deal with urgent cases. So the polity is gradually witnessing a lull. But let's come back today. Our discussion today is on the legislature, that is the National Assembly, consisting of the House of Representatives and the Senate. The restructuring has provided the platform to actually demand for reforms in the National Assembly. At the moment, we have a two-chamber parliament, the House of Representatives consisting of 360 members, a Senate consisting of 109 members. Do we need that kind of National Assembly? Now, in recent times, the level of public discontentment with the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, has been growing. The belief is strong that the 8th Senate has been involved more in unnecessary tough war and supremacy dogfight with the executive, rather than act first as a stabilizing force for the polity and also focus more on pro-people events. For instance, on every conceivable issue, the Senate has been proving to be, flexing muscles, legislative muscles, that is, leaving undone and unattended to issues that could impact on the populace. The level of public discontentment is so much that some people are already demanding for the sack of the 8th Senate. Sounds extreme? Okay, we will be extreme in the National Assembly in general, and the Senate in particular. The Senate, of course, has been more in the news for the wrong reasons of late. All of this will be what we'll be looking at shortly this morning. Join us after this short break.
They see chaos and conflicts. We see community action for good governance. They see poverty and want. We see perseverance and the will to go on. They see economic law. We see the ingenuity and creative spirit of our people. We are AIT News, fresh, authentic views of Africa. How would you rather see the world? AIT News, all sides, all the time.
All right, if you're just joining us, a very warm welcome to you this Thursday. We are starting the discussions for today. It's always about Nigeria here. Let me introduce those who will be joining me for today's conversation about Nigeria. Ambassador Abdulrazak Hamzat is Executive Director of Foundation for Peace Professionals. He also leads a movement called Kwara Must Change.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Kwara Must Change for
for
Is
better.
Kwara not part of Nigeria?
Yeah.
Nigeria has already changed.
Yeah, Kwara needs a special change.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might have the opportunity of getting to that shortly, but let me introduce the second discussant. He's a lawyer. Adiola Samuel Ilori is a legal practitioner. He's also the executive director of Human and Consumer Rights Advocacy Center, producer, legislative watchdog.
Good morning, Benga.
Good to have you.
Yes, nice.
Legislative watchdog, let me start with you. The 8th National Assembly actually came to power a little over 2 years ago. Apart from the clamour, apart from the fact that majority of the members of the National Assembly be members of the APC that campaign under that clamour for change. The National Assembly itself, including those who were not members of the APC, also came in with that promise of a change to do things differently from the previous National Assemblies before them. But over 2 years down the line, have they met that public expectation, that hope that they raised? How far have they sustained it?
Good morning, Nigeria. It's quite unfortunate and disheartening to discover that even the one they came to change is better than the change the National Assembly of present moment brought to us. Because in the then National Assembly, let's say the 7th, the 6th, the one Kenin Amani was the president, was more active and more productive than this self-serving one. So far so good. We have not seen anything coming from them rather than selfishness, self-aggradations and the lining of their pocket. So to say, there's nothing that I've seen them doing so far so good that has any bearing in the prosperities of the masses they represent. There is nothing that I've seen them doing so far so good that have ever been in the interest of the masses they represent. For crying out loud, many bills have been sent to them relating to that, how the masses can benefit from the good things of the government, and none of them, I repeat, none have been able to go through this so-called first reading, second reading, or whatever reading. As if we are
but one went through all the readings yesterday.
Which one?
The proposed law on whistleblowers protection.
It's no longer whistleblower protection, it's looters protection. You know why?
No, that's not the one. The one you are talking about is probably the one.
Amnesty. I know
no,
this one.
That's
too.
The one in the House.
This one. Let me give you an example what I mean, Benga. When you say that whistleblower, yes, they quickly passed it because they know that they can circumvent it. And I will tell you why. They recommended 10 million naira fine and I think 7 years imprisonment for any false whistleblowers.
Yeah.
And they knew quite well how to go about their own thing. Recently, I learned the ICPC was to arraign somebody for giving them false information about the former vice president. And I want to put it to you, Benga, that it is not possible for anybody in his own right thinking to go to ICPC or EFCC to go and give false information about such magnitude of allegation. What I believe that happened is that these people have their own moles everywhere. I come to you, I tell you at the head of an organization that is fighting corruption, and I can see that Razak here has some millions in his house and some other things. If I didn't see it, I won't say it, because I know the consequences of what I'm about to do. But somebody somewhere inside that place will go outside the organization and inform whoever that is involved, and those things will be completely, evacuated. And at the end of the day, the poor man will become a false whistleblower. Let me give you an example again. During the Yakubu Andrews matter, I learned it on a good authority, even it is all over, that the whistleblower who happened to be his own sister per se, said that if the EFCC has not come on the day they came to pick that one money vote, the vote, the remaining vote has been moved out previous day. That is the only one remain. They intend to move that one also that very day.
No, that was they acted late.
They acted late. So these are what I'm talking. That's why I said it's going to be the looters act, because at the end of the day, yes, whistleblower will blow the whistle, but there are most within the organization where they blow the whistle to, who will have informed them and they will pack their things, and the poor man will become the victim of the good intention that he has for Nigeria. So I've not seen, like I said, anything they have done that benefited Nigerians.
Okay. Abdul Razak, a little over 2 years ago, the National Assembly came into being, the 8th National Assembly came into being. One thing that excited Nigerians was the way the leadership emerged. Nigerians had thought that because the leadership, well, according to them, emerged through their own free will, Nigerians have thought that, oh, okay, we have a leadership that is not likely to kowtow to the National Assembly, to the executive, but will be independent and probably work on the issues that are affecting Nigerians. Probably that was why the way the leadership emerged enjoyed the support, wholehearted support of Nigerians. Two years down the line, have Nigerians been misled as to how those leaderships in the two chambers actually emerge?
Well, this is a very important and interesting question that you have thrown. Firstly, believing that the leadership of the National Assembly, which came from what you have described as goodwill or free will of the members.
Yes.
The question is, who are these leadership? They didn't emerge out of the blues. They came from somewhere. From my own background, coming from Kwara, the former governor of Kwara State, who happens to be a beneficiary of the goodwill of the members of the National Assembly, is from Kwara State. The question is, that free will, does he exist in Kwara State, where he happens to be not just a senator now, but the leader of the state? Do we have people in Kwara State being able...
The political leader, you mean?
The political leadership. Do we have people being able to express themselves freely the way they want us to be doing at the National Assembly? And now that they have enjoyed it, what is the dividend of democracy that had come from such free will? Of course, we know the free will has nothing to do with the Nigerian people. It has much to do with the members enjoying free access to public resources and being protected from being prosecuted if found wanting. This is the only free will that the members of National Assembly had exhibited in such a decision, and Nigerians have not benefited anything whatsoever from that free will so far.
They came in with so much fanfare. Both chambers launched what they call a legislative agenda. We had a legislative agenda of the 8th Senate that spoke volubly about pro-people issues. They actually made a promise in that document that constitutional amendment was going to be realized within the first year of that 8th National Assembly. This is over 2 years. Constitutional amendment is still an issue for tomorrow. The National Electoral Commission, the Independent National Electoral Commission, has launched a program that will lead to the 2019 general elections. We still don't have an electoral law that will govern that process. And these were part of the promises they made. So I think by their own admission, as at the moment, there are hundreds of bills pending before them. We've not seen the bills, the process of making those bills to become law, gather that speed that Nigerians had expected.
Yeah, well, this is just the continuation of what I have been saying. Everything they say is just for public consumption as a matter of sensation. It has nothing to do with what they intended to do. Just like this bill that you said had been passed. It wasn't passed the way it was supposed to be. The National Assembly are simply using their own arms of government to protect their own interests, making promises that are empty and never going to be fulfilled. Like he had said, more than 2 years already, a promise that was said to be completed in 1 year has not been done. This is the 3rd year already. There is no hope of anything coming out from that, and we will go into the next administration or the coming election with nothing concrete as review of the process. So I don't see anything coming out from the 8th Assembly, because they are insincere in whatever they have been doing, and we don't expect anything less from what we have seen so far.
Pastor Adeola, how discontented are Nigerians with the National Assembly? Really? And is there any reason why would that discontentment, if it's high, will it be because of the high expectation from the National Assembly as the true representatives of the people, the real engine room for governance and the real engine room for changes that we are expecting to see?
Honestly, Benga, the fact remains that.
In other words, I'm asking, what is the place of the National Assembly in the governance process?
The National Assembly, as it were, as we say in marketing, that marketing becomes the bedrock of every organization. The National Assembly is supposed to be the bedrock in achieving the change mantra that the government of this day, propagates to the people while they are coming into power. The National Assembly is supposed to be that bedrock. They're supposed to be that engine room where good things that the government of this day seems to have in mind to give to the people emanated from. For example, look at the budgets. The budgets are meant to be presented by the executives, only to be scrutinized by the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Reps. Their scrutinization stop at when they see that, okay, this money is high on this area, why not put it in this area? That is where their scrutinization stop. They don't have more than that to do, or this one is low, hard to eat. But you can see what is going on right now, and in the last budget that they passed, don't let me talk about 2016 where we have padding extravaganza.
At least as admitted by some members of the National Assembly that were involved.
Exactly. Jubril Aminu make us to understand how they do it in the House of Reps, in which I believe that of us National Assembly, I mean the Senate, will be humongous, considering the levels of the gluttons we have there. Now, look at it from the angle of the 2017 budget. Senate insisting that they have the power to insert their own project in the executive project. The last time I checked the Constitution as a lawyer says that the executive is responsible for the day-to-day running of the government affairs, while the only job assigned to them, I mean the National Assembly, is oversight function as well as making laws and amends laws that needed to be. Unfortunately, they are now arrogating to themselves the power of the executive, trying to infuse to increase the budget, not only increasing it, even in certain things that are irrelevant, frivolous, completely outrageous out of what Nigerians' expectations are. The job that are meant for other arms of the government. When I mean other arms of the government, I'm talking about the local government, the state government. When the senator wake up in the morning and say, okay, the budget for road construction is high, okay, instead of say, okay, minister, reduce this and add it to this place so that it will be beneficiary to other people, they are now removing it and putting boreholes there, and putting, I mean, it's seeking. It can only happen in Nigeria. It can only happen where people that has no pedigree for good things sitting at the leadership in the National Assembly. The basic I can say about it is that this National Assembly, the 8th National Assembly, are populated, and I am not surprised, because many of them are past governors. And when you have past governors that has no home pedigree, that has no home records of good governance and performance, you don't expect him to overnight change, to somebody that will become, a real human being that will think good of other people. Let's look at those people that are there. Many of them has cases hanging on their neck. Cases of corruptions, cases of malfeasance, financial malfeasance of the states. Even right there, that way they are sitting down there, they still meddle in the affairs of the state where they are coming from in order to also milk the money that's supposed to go there. And I'm referring nothing more than the Paris Club money. If somebody sitting down there is still being accused of fleecing Nigerians 3.5 billion worth of money that is meant for the state, does that not show to you where they are coming from? And how do you expect those people to be somebody that will be conscious of the masses, of doing things that will affect the good livings of the masses. So coming down to your question, there is no way Nigerians will not be hungry. Their anger has reached the pitch level. Their anger has come to the point that we have now come up with a kind of a movement called Operation Sack the Senate. We have started meeting and we have started discussing and we have made...
There was an operation that started in Kogi State not too long ago to recall a senator, and it has deadlocked.
Can you imagine? You are bringing me down there because I want to come down gradually.
Okay.
You know, Operation Sack the Senate is meant to let them realize that what happened in Venezuela about a few weeks ago can happen in Nigeria. We only need concerted effort and people of like mind. And to answer you, Nigerians are angry by virtue of the response we have gotten so far, by virtue of the response of the people that we discuss together in meetings and in social media platform where we are strategizing. I can tell you Nigerians are angry. Why? Because there is nothing like dividends of democracy. And the unfortunate thing is this: many Nigerians blame the executive for it. Yes, the executive has their own blames too. I am not excusing them, and I'm not trying to speak for any of them. But I want to tell you that if the National Assembly have been very, very, very proactive. Somebody asked me, what happened that Aso Rock budgeted for, what they call it, kitchen utensils and all the rest, and they budgeted millions of naira.
Is that not where they are supposed to use their oversight?
That is exactly what I answered the person. I said,
kitchen utensils
if we have a concerted and viable and vibrant legislators at home, if we have the Senate that are not talking about, once they see a loophole, they see it as an opportunity for them to grab something or whatever they can grab, take it. I don't know where they're taking this money to. If they have seen that, because I overheard the Keremandu saying it right on the television while they are discussing the budget of 2017. He said that we saw this thing last year. They budgeted for utensils, kitchen utensils, and all these frivolities. You see, every year they bought these things.
Shouldn't oversight.
And I was expecting him to say, now we are pulling it down. But unfortunately, it still passed. And that was why they had the gut and the effrontery, the temerity to remove budget and put their own boreholes. So I can tell you that this Senate, the 8th Senate, they are nothing to write home about. And coming to the recall that you mentioned the other time, if a Senate president, deputy president, who happens, and which I believe,
who is also a presiding officer,
who is also a presiding officer,
he presides,
and happens to be, as I learned, a PhD holder in law, claiming that they have process to be involved. I mean, they have right to be involved in the process of recall. And that the National Assembly will be the last abinger of whatever the INEC is doing. It's laughable. It makes me look at the law and the people that interpret it as if, for crying out loud, are we reading the same thing? Do we actually, attend the same, class where we are being, tutors and giving the right direction as to how to interpret the law? The sections of the law that put power into the hands of INEC, Section 153 of the Constitution, is so clear, it's so glaring. It makes it so open to let them realize that everything that INEC has to do as an independent body is solely their responsibility. It is in black and white. Also, the Section 69, subsection 1, subsection 1 and subsection 2 that talk about recall. It's so clear, it's so glaring. Subsection 2 says that after the process has been done, the only thing that INEC needs to be done is to pass the certificate of certificate of removal to the Senate President in order for him to read it to the House that having gone through all the process, this is what they have come in and no longer our member. That is the only thing given to them. But when the Senator Keremandu wanted to interpret Section 68, subsection 1, paragraph H, where this issue of recall was mentioned, when you look at subsection 1 of Section 68, from paragraph 8, B, C, D, E, H, G, G, it talk about every other sin or every other misdemeanor a senator can commit and it can lead to his removal. Before it now come to H, where recall was mentioned. And it's that subsection 2 of subsection 8 that they are now latching on, claiming that they have process or they have right to be involved. He says that after all the process must have been completed, it must be made known to the House that this process has been adequately and thoroughly followed, and this is the result of it. For example, when the electoral body is conducting an election for the Senate recently,
you are giving certificate of return.
Adeleke was
giving
certificate of return. It was brought to the House. It was that certificate that gave Senate President the power to sworn in him.
Exactly.
I cannot go to the Senate and go and
certificate of return is to admit somebody to somebody.
Certificate of removal is to admit that you come out from the place. Was the Senate involved in the process of electing Adeleke?
All right.
So if you are not involved in the process of electing Adeleke, how can you be involved in the recalls? So those are the lies that they couple together and want to bamboozle everybody. But we will not allow them to bamboozle us because we know what we are doing.
Abdulrazak, a lot of people are also of the opinion that the fact that the Senate leadership from day one had been carrying that baggage of a Senate president that was, in the eyes of the law, accused of crime. And each time he was in the dock during that trial, during that time that the trial lasted, each time he was in the dock, the entire image of the National Assembly, as the chairman of the National Assembly, not just the Senate president, also as the chairman of the National Assembly, each time he walked into the dock, he carried within the image of the National Assembly that it was something that the National Assembly should have thought about, that even for the sake of public good, public morality, once you are accused, that he ought to have stepped aside and spared the image of the National Assembly from going down along that route with him.
That argument is the most sound argument I've ever had. The question is, if the leadership of the Senate or the National Assembly as a whole is questionable, how can such an assembly question someone else? In a situation whereby the Senate president is having issues, this is why you see that whenever the Senate accuses anybody of anything, people refer back to the leadership of the Senate. When we say, oh, this person should resign, they will ask you, what is the Senate president doing? He is also accused and is even being tried. If a senator, the Senate president that is being tried in a court of competent jurisdiction, did not resign, on what basis does the Senate tell someone who has not been charged to court on any crime to resign? This is what has brought the entire image of the National Assembly to disrepute. And this will continue. And even, you have seen that the Senate president has been discharged, but it's still questionable. He has been taken back to a appeal court, but people will never believe a system that rewards criminality. They want a system that they can say is free because they believe that by the virtue of the position of the Senate president, he has power to influence certain things in his favor. If he had done the right thing before now, and it happens this way, he could have bounced back more stronger, with more credibility. People would be, yes, this is a man of integrity. When he was accused, he did this, and he came back stronger and better. But because he is still in the system, a lot of people believe that this process was not fair. A lot of people believe the process was manipulated. And if this is the case, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that the Senate or the National Assembly can do to cleanse itself from this baggage. And again, you can see the National Assembly, even at the Federal House, where a member of the Federal House of Representatives is coming out openly to say that this is pardon.
We pardoned budgets.
This is criminality.
And
I am part of it.
This is how we
and
share
I'm willing
money with our budget.
to be. What happened at the National Assembly?
Suspended.
He was suspended. So the thing is, you do not expect ordinary citizens that are watching this to take the National Assembly serious. You cannot look at the system. In Nigeria today, everyone that has come out to say, let us change, let us fight corruption, are being punished. We look at it, we have the member of the National Assembly, Jibril Aminu.
We have the one in the Senate.
NHIS, the NHIS.
We also have in Senate.
We have the Senate. We have all everywhere. So the thing is, the perception they are giving Nigerians is that we here, we are a country of our own. We are our own laws. We are our own people. We control everything. We are above the country. And anything that is happening outside, whether it is law or not, doesn't affect us. We have to be our own bosses. And that's why you see that when the Senate President or the Deputy Senate President was talking about interfering in the recall in Kogi, you are telling the people that you are his constituent, but you cannot do anything about it because we that are here, we are the ones that will determine your life. We will be the one that will determine your future. We'll be if you say you want this person, we can say no, you don't. If you say you don't want this person, we can say yes. The Deputy Senate President actually said anybody who is not satisfied with the performance of a lawmaker should go and wait till the tenure of that lawmaker.
So what is Section 69 doing there? What is Section 110 doing for the House of Assembly? You see, you can see the shenanigans. You can see that they have carried themselves above the people, and that is why we are going to tell them that you are not above the people. You can see what they are doing to themselves. In fact, it is laughable before the world. When you have turned yourself, instead of being aloe chamber, you turn the chamber to arrow chamber. The chamber where it is only to summon anything summonable. You are summoning an executive governor of a state. Is that not laughable?
Somebody said long ago that it was hollow chamber.
It's fine. It's horror. We call it horror chamber.
Let me read some tweets. See how Nigerians are also reacting to this topic this morning. Sahid Ayinla Kadri says the National Assembly as presently considered is too large. They are in turn becoming big for nothing. It says from Sahid Ayinla Kadri in Lori, Kwara State. Okay. All right, so that we know where it's coming from. Dele Jackson says legislative duties should be conducted on part-time basis as a cost-cutting measure and a way to break the cycle of corruption at the National Assembly. That's Dele Jackson okay, those ones are following. All right, Prince Mobolaji Sula says all their deliberation is not on development but selfish gain. Custom boss this, magu that. When will they mature? I wonder. Then Prince Mobolaji Sula again. When a representative only care about themselves, why will the masses won't call for their sack? This assembly is the worst. Then Simeon says, best thing is to dissolve the house. That's the views of Simeon. Uche Anuniru is retweeting what we said. Then Simeon again says, honestly, Nigeria doesn't need two-chamber parliament. Dele Jackson Medge again, Ogab G. For the NASS to be responsive, it should cut down its remuneration, have apathy for corruption, declare the assets, and be service to the people. All right. And then Engineer Obani Chuks. Okay, it has two. Okay, I've seen the first one. Who would it be? There those have a saying that you use sense in putting sand in a blind man's food, else he will find out. The 8th Senate are high-handed, self-centered, power-hungry people, and the level of contempt and indifference they show the masses by their shenanigans is extreme. Let me read it again. Who wouldn't be? There those have a saying that you use sense in putting sand in the blind man's food, else he will find out. The 8th Senate are high-handed, self-centered, power-hungry people, and the level of contempt and indifference they show the masses by their shenanigans is extreme. All right, let's take some of what that tweet said. We've seen the 8th Senate particularly demonstrate, the National Assembly now demonstrate high-handed when it comes to outsiders, as we saw in the case of Mago. We've seen it demonstrated in the case of custom boss, over uniform or no uniform. They left the message, the substance of the message, and they were pursuing the issue of uniform for a very long time. We've seen it demonstrated in the case of Babachi Lawa, where he was merely accused, hasn't been charged, and they insisted that he must be removed from office. Whereas they have their own leadership that was not just accused, but has been charged to court, and they insisted, at the point, they were following him to court until Nigerians started crying, was when they now left him. Only a few of them were now following him. Even when his wife was accused and was charged to court, was invited by the EFCC, you have senators that left their responsibilities and were following her to the EFCC office and all of that.
Don't be surprised.
We've seen how the Senate reacted to one of them who cried that, oh, we have people accusing us of doing this. Should we look at about it? We have people accusing a member of us of this. Shouldn't we look about it? We saw how they turned the laws against him and put him on suspension, when they are even busy protecting the leadership. Can we take that up?
This is a very troubling issue. Like, for example, like right now, there is a process of agitation for recall, even for the Senate president in Kwara State. And you, like what you are talking about, them being high-handed in people that are outside. Threats to life, to my person sitting here, has been coming from everywhere. My life has been in danger, not for doing anything illegal, not for committing any crime, but for saying, people are saying this, and this is the process, this is a constitutional process. So the National Assembly and the State Senate has been seen that this is a Senate that is self-serving. You want to correct the anomaly in the public or in the executive. Without correcting it within your system, how can there be equity when it doesn't start with you? There can't be such equity. You have to start with you. And look at it. Senator Ndume was part of the leadership of this 8th Assembly at inception. But at every point,
when he was questioning happenings within.
Yes, there will always be a time where everyone will sit back and say, am I right? What can I do better? And when that senator came up to say, okay, this is happening, why not we look at ourselves and put things in order before trying to look at other people? And then because they see him as trying to question the system, he became a victim.
He was consumed.
So this is what the 8th Senate has been used to. That's why the call for the sack of the Senate is resonating everywhere. Like you have read from the tweet from all over the country, everybody is saying that the 8th Senate is not serving the Nigeria. The National Assembly are not serving the Nigerian people. They are consuming so much and giving virtually nothing.
So little.
So if this country will have to move forward, there has to be certain changes in the leadership. And you know, the National Assembly is the only democratic institution that made democracy different from military. Yeah. So this is the only institution that the people own. Yeah. This is the only institution that the people can cry to.
Where the members are directly representing the people.
And this is most important, this is an institution that can guarantee peace in the country. Because when people are agitated, they want to run to an authority to speak for them. That's why
the members of the National Assembly are
their own people. This is why the National Assembly is there. But have they been doing this? Have they been speaking for the people? The answer is a resounding no. So this is really troubling.
Let's see how the National Assembly has also treated some of its own that have also tried to question the system. Mohammed Jubri, Jubri, yeah, that's his name. Jubri, Abdulmumin Jubri. Not only gave an expose as to how the budget of the National Assembly itself had always been spent. He also talked at length about the issue of budgeting the national budget, how the National Assembly members are always putting projects and all of that. It was an opportunity for the National Assembly members to probably be sober and do a soul searching. But we didn't do that. We didn't say that. Rather, the system was turned against him. He was more or less expelled. Because if you put somebody on suspension for 1 year, without even looking at the fact that he wasn't representing himself, but representing a people in the National Assembly, without caring about how the voices of those people will be heard in the National Assembly, you put him on suspension. Again, it happened to Aliyu Dume when he also raised questions about how the National Assembly or issues involving both the leadership of the National Assembly and some members of the National Assembly. We saw also how the Senate reacted. Why is it always like this?
Because likes always attract likes. You mentioned the other time that what about the image of the National Assembly?
Yeah, don't they care about their image?
They don't care about the image. You cannot care about the image that is already, imprint. And what is the imprint about the present 8th National Assembly? The many people that are in National Assembly, Senate per se, the red chamber, as they call them, they are already in red. They are in red of financial malfeasance from their state. They are in red of characters not in conformity with the normal nature that you should find in leadership. Let me give you an example. Saraki is answering to what we call a non-declaration of an asset. In between that, there is an issue of what we call criminal breach of trust, in which he siphoned the money, or call it money laundering, of Kwara State, which is still pending with the EFCC. It's within their scope that they investigated him. That's why they have joint investigation with EFCC, BBC, or what they call them now, BCC. That is bureaus of public
Code of Conduct
Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, with ICPC. It is within that scope that they investigated him together, and within that investigation, they find out that money laundering issue, criminal breach of trust, siphoning the money of Kwara State. At the same time, that was when they now discovered that many of the houses that he owned was never declared as part of the asset.
Yeah, but so far the court has cleared him, and we have that's the official position.
Yes, clear him of non-declaration. Not because
there were no charges on those other areas.
That was why I said it's still pending.
Okay.
You understand? It is within the scope of that investigation. That's why they have that joint investigation on him. The issue of
if he has not been charged on those issues, that means probably the evidence is not there.
Well, I can tell you that the evidence is there. What the EFCC was waiting for, because the ICPs, I mean, what they call them, the CCT, does not have the power to convict beyond the fact that you will confiscate the house. That's one. Two, you will remove him from wherever he is.
If he was holding on,
if he was holding,
and if he wasn't holding one, he will be prevented for 10 years.
For 10 years. We does not have any pardon from the president, as it were, for any other issue. Those are the three things that the CCT will do. They will now recommend for further criminal prosecution. Are you getting my point? So you can't tell me that because the case is still in the appeal court, and until appeal court clear him up to the Supreme Court, then I will say he's off the matter with the CCT issue. But I want to say that what I'm saying is that the imprint in the National Assembly, because Jubril has let us see that even the House of Rep are not better. By virtue of what we call lawyers can call it what they call it circumstantial evidence, but there are Supreme Court classicals by Justice of the Supreme Court Oriola that says that even a circumstantial evidence can become convicting with when it is stated by the person that participated in it, and at the same time he was not forced to do such, and at the same time he has not, even if he recants. If once it is discovered that he was not forced to give such statement, he was not coerced, and it wasn't given out of undue influence, such a person can be convicted on it. So
Jubril's statement on how they were sharing the budget of the National Assembly remains incontrovertible, or remains something that can be used as an evidence.
That even if in the face of the law, they can call it circumstantial evidence, so to say. And just clear you what the Supreme Court judgment.
Because he also admitted that even his own office was getting.
He said that he's ready to. When somebody said he's ready to put himself off for prosecution, the only problem I have is that even the so-called anti-corruption bodies and agencies, they are not proactive enough. These people that they mention are not on any under immunity at all. So why are still there? That we are not seeing them being prosecuted by now. For how long? If somebody come and give you evidences of that which is enough to nail an accuser, the only person that can deny that I am not part of you is the main culprit in an armed robbery case. Once the main culprit of an armed robbery said, look, this person is part of us, and this how he was part of us. These are things that we have done together. For crying out loud, what else?
All right, let me read some tweets again, because the Twitter handle is working very well this morning. Mohammed Kamal says, I think the best way is to cut their salary and allowances in accordance with civil service rule. Then Edoze Nkechi says, all of them should be recalled. I don't see how their presence has helped Nigeria's situation. We have important issues before us that are not looked into. And then Oscar Al Michael says, is there any politician in Nigeria that is not questionable? Your guests this morning should please let the Senate do their job. And then, okay, Mohammed, tweet, I've read it. It's coming up again. Jonathan Onche says, SARS is not fighting corruption. The effective answer is revolution. It is the only hope of the sinking ship of Nigeria. And then Dele Jackson mentioned, Nigerians can continue to be represented by or subsidized poor quality lawmakers, some of whom are stark illiterates embroiled in corruption. And Mr. Party says, the downfall of Nigeria under APC started the day PMB was allowed to run for presidency without providing his full credentials. That's Mr. Party. Mohammed Kamal again, he says, if it's possible, let there be no National Assembly. We can, of course, practice another form of government, as this one is failing us right from the onset. Praise James Akpabio says, Benga, your guests have said it all. And then Jonathan Noche says, ask yourself a genuine question. Is Nigeria as a nation really progressing? Are we really angry? And then he answered the question himself, no, we need to instill fear. All right. Wow, 40 new tweets again.
That to show you the levels of people's
Otumba Oluwole, Saraki is innocent until proven guilty, sir. Yes, I've said that here. Benga, the attack on the National Assembly on this platform is unbecoming. Calling my rep a shenanigan is unacceptable, sir. That is if your rep is representing you well. Polycap Iwundo. Ekoremadu's interpretation of a simple law has shown how shallow our representatives are. And Gunnar Dasent says, how can we have a vibrant National Assembly when a member of the representatives openly said he is in the House to support PMB? Okay, we should wind up. All right, let's see how we wind up quickly. There's what is called citizens' action. How can we use that to effect changes in the National Assembly, to have a kind of National Assembly that we want? For instance, on the use of oversight function, on issues of budget. If you accuse the Senate, the executive, for instance, of repeating budget heads every year, isn't that where you are supposed to use your oversight? If the Aso Rock says they are buying kitchen utensils every year, can't you use your oversight to go and find out if they bought last year, and if they bought last year and they are still working? Why do you have to approve, say, this year?
No. The message is very clear. The fact that you who were elected to check the executive are the ones coming to complain. Who are they complaining to? You have the power to say you have bought this thing last year.
And it is still
you
working.
Cannot do it again.
We have used our oversight function.
So you refuse to, rather than do the job, they now become citizens that come out to complain by complaining, rather than using their power to effect the required oversight. So
all right, we have to stop. I have to stop you now. Adiola, quickly, your last comment, 10 seconds.
Well, my last comment to Nigerians is that the greatest weapon of oppressors are the oppressed themselves. The greatest weapon the oppressor used against the oppressed are the oppressed themselves. So this time, we are telling you, if you find it in you that this Senate has not given you what you require, join us as we progress in mobilization for the sack of the Senate. All right.
Babidele John says, the people have turned our National Assembly to retirement place for ex-governors and convicts. And then Sonny says, the National Assembly guys should be fired, and urgently too. It's about them against us. And then Declan Chukudi says, they are low productive legislators. All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much. I've been joined in this morning's discussions by Ambassador Abdulrazak Hamzat, is Executive Director, Foundation for Peace Professionals, and is also the President of Kwara Must Change. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Barrister Adiola Samuel Ilori is a lawyer based here in Abuja.
No, Lagos.
Oh, Lagos, sorry. He's Executive Director, Human and Consumer Rights Advocacy Center, also producer of Legislative Watchdog Magazine.
A radio program.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you for investing your time with us. Don't go away now. One or two things may happen in a short while. Either you see Nancy Ilo on Moneyline, or we take you straight to Port Harcourt, where a live event is also scheduled to take place. Any of the two you see, just take it with us. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day.